Hi, are you an author in the middle of self-publishing your next book? Somewhere along the process, you've probably heard about creating an audiobook. You've been encouraged to make an audiobook. You know friends who've made the investment in creating an audiobook, but you can't bring yourself to get started because getting into the technical weeds just seems too daunting. But what if we could take that all away? What if we could remove 90% of the technical barriers, so all you would have to do is show up to the microphone and record? Or maybe you don't want to record your own audiobook. That's totally fine too. We have an experienced team of professional narrators that would love to audition for your audiobook. Our Done For You service guarantees that you will have a professionally produced audiobook ready for commercial release. If you're ready to get started today, please click the link below and schedule a free call. We can't wait to hear from you and to get started on your project.
Hello. Oh, look at that. We're a little off center there.
Okay.
Happy New Year to everybody out there. Welcome to another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. I am your host, author Stephen Urias, along with my host as well, publisher Susan Gabriel. Susan, how you doing out there?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did you have a good New Year?
I did. My voice is a little hoarse today, so I may not be doing as much talking as usual.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good. It's all good. As always, we are sponsored by Soul Sunshine. Be sure to visit us at soulsunshine.com if you are an author that wants to be published, have a dream of becoming an author, need illustrators or editors or cover designers. We do it all. Be sure to check us out at soulsunshine.com.
Yeah, we would be very happy to take a look at anything that you've got, your manuscripts, whatever kinds of things you have created.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, being an editor and a publisher, I got to know, is it New Year's with an apostrophe S? Is it plural New Years? Like there's multiple years? Is it New Year? What is it?
Well, what do you say? Happy New Year? I'd say just Happy New Year. It's 1 year.
Yeah, I always say that too, but everybody's like Happy New Year's, and I'm like, I didn't know
Yeah.
we had more than one.
Happy New Year's Eve, maybe, if you're going to
New
say
Year's Eve with the apostrophe S. Yes, that makes sense.
right.
It's Eve of the new year, so it's possessive. But
Right,
so many
exactly.
people are like Happy New Year's, and I'm like, there's only one.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. Yep.
Well, we have a very interesting show today. One of the most, how do I say it? Wild,
Interesting.
crazy, interesting people I've ever had the chance to meet. I don't see him down there.
Yeah, I just pinged him. We'll see.
You guys are going to enjoy this one. Dan is
Yeah.
he's currently writing his book. It is called Einstein versus Frankenstein: How to Conquer Self. He has had a life, run-ins with the law, time in jail, and just a life that has led him to the point, but he's also at a point where he is feeling good, feeling better, getting on track, doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yes,
transformation really, truly is tremendous.
transformation. That is a great way of putting it.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah. And that's what the Bible talks about too. You know, it talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I think that verse fits so well with Dan. I think that's exactly what people will see when they get to know him. That he's allowed to God's word to permeate into his heart and cause a transformation. And then he's also been, learned how to guard his thoughts and his, negative perceptions and turn them around. And we'll let you tell them about it.
Definitely.
Tell everybody.
Definitely.
Let's
Let's bring him on and let's hear his
yeah.
story. So without further ado, Dan, are you ready for to get on stage? All right, buddy. 1 second. 1 second. Nobody can hear you just yet. All right. Without further ado, hi Dan. How's it going, buddy?
Man, I've been trying to get up here for minutes. I'm here. I'm like, oh, you can't see me. I'm not in the day. I'm like freaking out. They are right. Y'all are get excited. I'm serious. Do you know how grateful I am today? Aren't you?
I
Susie,
am.
are you grateful? Dang, man.
Absolutely.
I am grateful every day, Dan. I am absolutely grateful every day. You
Excellent.
have a soon-to-be published book called Einstein versus Frankenstein: How to Conquer Self. I want to get into that, but before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself, Dan, before we go any further.
Well, that's a little bit about myself. I really I've had a challenging day. The challenge is not bad. Challenge is not a bad thing. Just had a challenging day. I'm in a transition phase in my life. You ever go through a change?
Absolutely.
I know, we're always changing, we're always developing, we're always growing. So those challenging days are sometimes the pivot points for change. As we grow, because you're challenged and you're going to fight through it, get through it, you've grown as a person. Every time you're confused, I learned this from my a friend and mentor, John Asseroff. Uh, every time you're confused, it's just new concepts being fused inside your amazing mind, the
Mhm.
neurons inside your brain. It's, I've used this metaphor often. It's like walking through the snow. I don't know if you've ever walked through snow. Have you ever walked through a foot of snow before, Susan? Or yeah,
Yeah, we both grew
Steven?
up in
Yeah,
Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado's had
Yeah.
some major snowstorms. Yes.
So
Yeah.
so the so now those snowstorms, you come in, you're going outside your house and you're like, oh man, you don't have time to shovel. Maybe you don't have a shovel right there, but you gotta go, you gotta get to the bus, those days or the whatever,
Yep.
the car, you gotta leave. Okay. The first time you go through it, how easy is it?
Yeah. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. You got to forge a new path.
Yeah, that's every time you're confused, that's the exact relation to what it's like in your brain. You're just confused, but that confusion is actually just the neurons in your brain being fused together for the first time. The beautiful thing about that is that the next time you have to walk through that same trail, what happens the next time what happens when you're getting home later in the day? Is it easier?
I guess it would depend on how late you get through, because sometimes that path will turn into ice, and I have fallen on my butt a
He's
few times on the
Whoa,
way
whoa,
getting
whoa, 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 whoa. It's not getting to ice. It's not, I said the next time, not the 50th time. The next time that you walk through that path, is it easier the second time? Is it easier the second time than the first? That was the question. Sorry.
it should be. Yes.
I mean, it should be. Of course it is. It's
Well,
100%. Because sorry, I don't mean to. Yes, 100%. It should, as long as there wasn't like a bunch more snow that continued to
right.
fall afterwards or whatever. But
Exactly.
if it fell overnight and you left in the morning and the snow stopped falling, at the end of the day you got home. When you're getting to the front door and there's no more snow has fallen, it is easier the second time. Correct or wrong?
Mhm. Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now the point
Okay.
there, the relation, brain, your brain. First time, confusion, hard, difficult, just like that first time through the snow. But the next time, it's easier. The memory becomes more. That's why they say repetition. That's why Tony Robbins said repetition is the mother of all skills. Well, what does
Mhm.
a mother do? Asking rhetorically, what does a mother do?
nurtures
Well,
and protects.
yeah, yeah. Nurses and protects. What else does it do? What else does a mother do?
Teaches.
Teaches. What else?
Gives love unconditionally.
Oh, that's a good answer. What else?
What are you thinking a mother does?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, uh, it supports. It teaches. Sorry, a mother teaches. A mother loves. A mother, right? And you said that one. A mother corrects,
Encourages.
disciplines,
Hmm.
encourages,
Corrects.
uplifts. All right. A
Uh-huh.
mother is love. A mother is a bonding thing because a mother. The reason why I love to use the relationship of a mother because a mother and a son, that bond, truthfully, can never be broken. It can always be healed, even if there's been a bunch of pain. Both of them can grow to never lose that. Even though there are some people they've had such a damaged relationship in their lives for one or the other that they've lost touch. Susan, you could speak to this probably yourself.
Yeah, it can happen. And, you know, I'm still in touch with my daughters, but not frequently. So, not as
And,
frequently as
and,
I would like.
and there was a time that there was a lost communication even,
Yeah,
right?
for a
That
while.
so exactly anyway, where I was going with that thread. But so anyway, you have some questions for me. I know that there's more to talk about. I kind of went on tangents, gopher holes, or rabbit hole. Have you ever heard that expression before? Oh, we have gone down a rabbit hole. Me and Susan have with our investigation learned it's more like a gopher hole that we go down because we go down this hole and then we end up going over here and then over here and over here. You just keep going in different directions. But that thought's all connected back to the questions though.
Uh-huh.
So
So
I hope that,
Yeah, yeah.
having heard your story and having had
oh yeah,
interaction with you,
introduce
I think
myself.
one of the things that a lot of people would like to know is what was the lowest point in your life and how did you recover?
That's great. Yes, lowest point of my life and how did I recover? Before I say that, I'm gonna say my life purpose is to love and educate mankind, showing what is possible with courage and faith, having fun, because that really does keep you young. And another way of saying what my life purpose is that that's my job. But I heard an acronym for job once, just over broke. So if the job's the only thing you're doing to earn money, then you're missing out on life because the job is not going to pay you what you can make as soon as you decide to use your mind. You can achieve anything you set your mind to. You can do anything that you believe is possible with faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Just like Jesus said in Matthew 17:20, the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to yonder, and nothing will be impossible for you. The mustard seed is one of the smallest seeds, but it grows trees 20 feet high and 20 feet round. And so um, that's what I do in my life. Can you please ask your question one more time and then
That,
I'll answer it? There's my introduction. That's who I am. I love you.
What was the lowest point in your life and how
Mm.
did you recover?
Um, no, I've had many low points in my life. I don't know if it was the lowest, but if we define lowest as
Rock bottom.
rock bottom, feeling hopeless, feeling like there is no way out, feeling like killing yourself, maybe trying to kill yourself because I've tried to kill myself. I don't know how many times in my life,
I would consider that to be
hundreds.
the lowest point in your life. Absolutely.
Right? Okay, but I've tried to kill myself hundreds of times in my life. So in which time? Now I never
which
slit my wrist, but um sorry.
My
What?
which one
guess,
do you feel like is the lowest though? Which would you evaluate it as?
I guess
Um
when it comes down to it, you've tried to kill yourself on multiple occasions, been unsuccessful, but then eventually you got to a point where you didn't want to kill yourself anymore, and I would say that that would be your lowest point when it forces you to make a change that you weren't willing to make before. Because if you had multiple attempts, then you never really changed after the attempt. It was that attempt that you tried that was the bottom of everything, and I need to
Mm.
change or else I am going to be dead.
I have the answer to your question. Let's talk about the last time I tried to kill myself. Let's see if I don't know if it was the lowest in my life, but let's talk about that pivotal shift that time.
Yeah,
Which is because the reasons what happened those other times that I was low, there's different reasons for it, and I would rather talk about that time because that's what the essence of my book is about. When we talk about my lowest time. I was just finishing up, well, I'm doing 12 years. It's my 12th year. I just was released or just sorry, my 11th year. Back in the story. Well, 11 and a bit. 11 years and a bit. I've been in custody already in my life. And I just got back to Stony Mountain Penitentiary, and some of my good bros, my good homies, my friends, like GNAP and I don't know who else, but I know GNAP anyway. GNAP was kind of like my kid, jail kid, which is kind of like just a little brother, little bro. I actually taught him how to bead, and taught him how to make patterns and things like that. So we spent a lot of time together playing cards too. Anyway, so he's a friend. Um, but he's one of the guys, the 7 guys that were in the room that tried to kill me my first day back in population in Stony Mountain Pen on November 20th, 2017. Um, After I got beat into a coma, I was in a coma for a few days. I was in the hospital for about a total of a week before I got back. The hospital was the first chance that I had um, um, alone in my cell. And I took my bed sheets and I ripped them up into strips and I weaved a noose and I tied it through the. It took a long time. This was really painful. This was such a growing and trying process to be able to get the noose to the roof through the vent in jail. They're very thin, and so in order for me to get through, it took me a long time, and it really hurt when I was holding myself up with this because my ribs were all shattered. And so I was actually crying, not from even just crying from what I was doing in the first place, the emotion of it, trying to kill myself, but the pain of my body. I remember that pain. It was excruciating, but I didn't stop. The pain didn't stop me, and I got the noose around my neck, and what happened? I My knot came undone. The noose didn't break, the thread, the sheet didn't break, but the knot came undone. How is that possible when I was running a beating business in jail? Literally tying tens of thousands of knots, knots over the course of the previous few years. I'm very good at tying knots. Was it maybe divine intervention? Higher power? Was I too nervous? Was I in too much pain? Was it a combination of all of the above? Was it why? I don't know. Was it a miracle? But I hit the ground, and I don't know why we do these things, but I hit the ground, and after I hit the ground, I was so mad. I was so mad that I was still here. I started to punch through the floor as hard as I could, pounding like a madman. I'm trying to punch a door through the hell itself. Until the point where I smashed my knuckle and actually broke my knuckle open. The skin split open, and when I was
Uh,
punching on the ground, my skins started, my hands started to slip on the cement because of the blood was smearing out of my hand. And crying, "Why am I here? Why am I here?" And the question hit me like a jab to the nose or a kick to the not expecting gut punch. Why was I there? Because I knew I was better. Everybody else knew I was better too. Dang, if the people didn't try to change me, my mom, my grandma, teachers, parents, friends, whatever, coaches. So many people tried to help me, show me a way, pastors, and great advice and things that, and I tried. But the problem is I tried and didn't really commit. I wasn't ready. And I let myself get back around temptation and the wrong things. I didn't change my environment. And so even though I did have all the intention in the world, I got back around the wrong things, the wrong triggers, and boom, relapse, boom, relapse, boom, relapse. And I hit the floor and I'm punching. Why am I here? Why am I here? And I realized I'm here for a reason. I'm still alive because I matter, because I'm loved, because God loves me, because I know I can do anything and all things that set my mind to. And I'm here because because this is why I'm here. Because I love you.
I appreciate you going into that story. That sounded incredibly painful, and it definitely is a part of the rock bottom that made you want to make a change. So, in doing that change, what makes you special, unique, or different?
Well, sorry, as I went through certainly is my rock bottom was that moment. Sorry, and then there was that moment when I tried to kill myself, but I've been figuring it out since then. What my purpose is has taken me a while to define. But sorry, can you repeat your question
mhm.
again? What was
You know, it's on the, he's asking you a question, but I'd like to ask you a question that really is should come first.
Okay.
before that. And
Okay.
that question would be that it seems like that was a pivot point, pivotal moment. And was there a time when you felt that was God was involved in your life at that point, or was it at a different, did that come later?
Um, um, so I, I, sorry, to explain to the audience what's going on with me.
Okay.
I was, because we get, 'cause Susan, how many thoughts can we have at once?
Yeah, one,
Okay,
one,
right. And so,
one thought at
so
a
now
time.
what I was trying to do is that some of these questions that they're asking me, some of them are random, but we have a list of written out questions. So but because I was delayed getting here because I had a challenging day. I'm not set up for this meeting, so I didn't have the questions up. So we didn't have any prep time. There was just much challenge for today, but I'm here. I got here. I just not 100% prepared. And so I was trying to find the question at the same time. You're asking this. Repeat your question one more time,
Yeah.
and then I will answer.
My question is going back to that moment when you couldn't kill yourself. You realized that you couldn't kill yourself and you were still alive for some reason. Did you attribute that reason as God at that point, or at what, how did your brain process that?
Um, yeah, I asked myself. I don't know. I don't. Initially, wow. Hold on. Just let me think on this for a second. Initially, when I hit the floor, what was I thinking about? Why was I still here? I asked myself many questions. I asked how did they not? First off, I asked how I have felt every time I experience a problem or a failure or a setback or I don't reach a goal, right? Or I do something that I don't agree with, or even if I do something that I do, I'm always asking myself questions. Susan, you ever ask any questions?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we're question people.
So I asked the question, what happened? What was the reason for it? Did I make a mistake? Right. So I did an inventory of my preparation. I even went so far as to look at resecuring it. Was it that it actually wasn't done? The knot just came undone. It was holding the thing up. The main anyway. Um, yeah. Um, and why, I kept asking the
Yeah.
why.
And
Um,
you never
and
tried
and
to
yeah,
kill
wait,
yourself again?
and yes, so no, it was yes, but why was it God? Was it me? Was it something? Was it so yes, to answer your question, in that first moment, yes. Um, I mean, in those first minutes on the floor when I was still maybe kneeling or crying on the floor, lying, I don't know, sobbing. There was a lot of anguish in that moment. It's very painful, very
Yeah,
humbling.
yeah, I
Um,
imagine so.
with
Did
so
you
to
know?
answer your question, was God involved in the equation afterwards? Yes, in a very short time. Do I believe that God had a hand? I don't know. I don't know. Sure. I feel that God definitely wanted to not have me die. That I needed to experience that low moment. That I'm still here for a reason. Yeah. Sorry. And then Stephen, you were asking a question.
Did you know God prior to that?
Yeah, I was saved as a kid, but I lost faith for a long time. Because when I was 19, the thing that triggered me getting hooked on crack cocaine was my grandma died of cancer. After a very slow, painful death of cancer, she had a brain tumor. And see, now I grew up in the church, and it says in the Bible that Jesus said we can do greater works than He. And so I fasted. I was 19 years old. I was living on fast food and junk food, and I was living the high life, and it was really a very challenging time. A lot of sugars, a lot of sweets, and for 1 week, I don't know if y'all ever fasted before and only drank water, not eating any food at all. But I've done that a number of times in my life. But the first time I ever did it was when I was 19 and my grandma was dying of cancer, and we fasted for a week. I prayed, and hell just came in. We prayed in her head, all this stuff, and then like 2 weeks later, she was dead, and and the um yeah um anyway
Did
that
your
would
grandma
be
raise you?
no, no, she didn't raise me. Um, sorry, you guys, I was going with faith there. Sorry, I had that.
No, 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 no.
Yes, yes, I lived with my grandma until I was 4, and so she was there when my mom wasn't, and so that was why me and her were so close. And yeah, yeah,
Did you still have your mom after your grandma passed?
yes, yes, I have my mom. Yep. And sorry, what was your initial question there again? Just one more time.
If you had believed in God prior to
Yeah,
your,
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, sorry, I grew up in the church. In my biography that is soon to be coming out, which is actually being co-authored by your amazing host, Susan Gabrielle. Me and her, we are co-authoring a book. It is titled Daniel John Ramsey Monahan, a biography that proves anything is possible. And aren't we just getting started at 13,694 days young? And that biography um, uh, is this is why we need journal notes sometimes. Anyway, yeah, keep going with your questions.
we're
Yeah.
we're
Lost them.
Yeah, the,
we're kind of free flowing here, bud. We're kind of
Yeah.
free
yeah,
flowing here
that
with
biography is going to answer quite a lot of the questions that we're asking now. And I know you and I have had a lot of
But
conversations, and
in, but
that's
in
really
much more
good.
detail, sorry, but in much
Yeah.
more better details. Y'all are gonna want to read that book. Let me tell you,
Oh,
the
yeah.
life
Oh,
changing.
it's
Go
going to
ahead,
be
go ahead.
good.
Sorry, continue,
It is. It's
continue
going
with
to
your.
be really good. And he and I
That's
have
because you're
gone
writing
through
it.
many details.
You want to know
Yeah.
why? That's because your best-selling author Susan is writing it. How can I not win? You can't not win with that. So, best-selling,
Well,
award-winning.
it's it's going to be a good one because
Where's
you were very much, I am sure,
where's your
saved
book?
for a
Where's your
reason.
book? Where's your book?
Oh, you don't have to pull my book out.
No, no. Where's? Yeah, I know, but then where's your autograph book? Did you mail that? Didn't you?
Uh-huh.
I don't have it.
It's okay. I can send you another one. It's
Yeah,
not a
we'll,
big
we'll,
deal.
we'll figure it out. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
memory. I just had a memory there. Sorry. Because ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
I just gotta say the reason why I asked about her book, and I was thinking about it for a second, I said it out loud, but where's your book? And it's because 'cause I actually wanted to ask her, but maybe it's not the right time for it. I just meant I have her book, a great book, and I highly recommend that you read uh, Saving My Child from the Child Savers, Wheels of Injustice, Saving My Child from the Child Savers. That's her book.
Yeah,
And I have
that's
it
it.
here a bunch. It's on Amazon. But Susan is such a generous friend that she actually sent me an autographed copy of her book. And so that was the book that I was just asking, where's your book? I just said, I just had the thought. It came out really now. So that's back
Yeah.
to the back to the
Well,
question.
we'll
Back
get
to
that
you.
figured
Sorry.
out. Yeah.
Yes. But for the audience here, if you haven't read her book, where can they find your book?
one of the things I'm
Yeah.
curious about here, Dan,
Amazon.
and I love that you are promoting
Thanks for the plug.
Susan, and yes, phenomenal. But this podcast is about you and allowing our viewers and our people who follow us to find out more about you. And you have had a life. You have had tragedy. You have had trauma. You have had all of these things happen. Listening to your story right now, one of the things that I am intrigued on is how you went from grandma getting cancer, grandma dying, to you smoking crack. Because to me, that appears right where this happens and you go down this road, which leads to all of these. I take it you didn't smoke crack before grandma died.
No, no. No. And so, yes, great question. Um, uh, uh, After my grandma died, I started to feel much pain, um, hurt, was angry. Remember, I just explained that I fasted. Allergies came in her head. all this stuff. We believed she even felt for a short time that she was getting better, and then she was just gone suddenly. Um, um, and I wasn't there. I wasn't at the hospital when she. Um,
Well, what's the last memory you had when she was
um,
alive? Was it a good memory?
what, yeah, sorry, what, fuck, where's it, what was your question? Before, yes, there's lots, yeah, sorry, what was your question? I'm in the middle of a story. What's your question? What's your question? Yes, lots for my grandma. I love
Just
her very much. And she died suddenly in the hospital. She was the context here. My grandma was dying of brain cancer for like 6 months. She lived with me, okay, and whatever. And then she turned and she went to the
Hmm.
hospital. She was at the hospital, and then but I wasn't there. Um,
Hmm.
so go on. Sorry. So what's your question?
At,
Sorry.
at what at what point then did you turn to crack?
Oh. So after thank you. So after that, what happened was that I ended up trying to find relief from the pain, the internal pain,
Hmm.
the anger I had at God and my higher power, at the belief in what I was doing, where I was going, um, uh, uh, um, you know, uh, and then I started to seek things, substances, coke, meth, or well, actually meth came much later. Sorry, that's a lie. So coke, crack, um, and then coke and crack. It was, the ecstasy, drinking, partying, living on the edge, staying up for a long time, selling drugs,
Hmm.
being involved in their lifestyle. There's much more to the story before to fill this in. So this is
Right.
for future episodes. You're veering from questions that
Yeah.
and I don't know where we're going with this. You had
Well,
questions for me today.
because
You
what
know,
I want to get to the point where
we,
we are talking about how when you were in the I assume you were, as I remember, you were in the penitentiary and you were beaten up to the point where you had suffered a rather traumatic brain injury, and you were told that you would not be able to really function. You had trouble speaking, you had trouble thinking, you had trouble with so many of the things that we just take for granted. And I would like to hear a little bit more about how did you change from, being like a vegetable with a brain injury to, um, to what it is that you believe now. What is it that you believe that has changed your life?
um, I am. What do I feel has changed my life?
Yes.
Belief. I just have belief. I have faith. I decided I didn't like what the doctors and psychologists and everybody told me. I developed a bunch of limiting beliefs prior to release. My body was very damaged. I was very broken. I stuttered. I mumbled. I had a hard time with memory. My body ached. I was frail. I was a very trying, difficult time. Initially, even after it first happened, I mean, I had to have a railing or something support, or even somebody helping me to walk, to get upstairs, or to move at different points upon
Mhm.
recovery initially. Um, so I was very broken. I was impoverished. My body was not healthy. Um, I was strung out on drugs. Prior to getting locked up. Remember, I've been battling addictions for like 11 years. On serious addictions, but even longer than that. But we'll say 10 years. You know what I mean? A decade, or I mean,
Mhm.
10 years of your life. For most of that time, I was engaged in massive drug consumption. I've literally done smoke. I've smoked tons, not kilos, tons crack in my life.
Mhm.
Of killer crack. On TikTok. Uh, and
Mhm.
and and, uh, and then meth too shot up a whole bunch of meth, kilos of meth in my life, and smoked, and then snorted tons of coke probably too, or kilos for sure, um, of cocaine in my life, and so um, yeah, all of that before. So now
And,
question.
and so that
Everybody's
was through, I'm sorry, that was through the time when you were still in prison, you were using drugs in prison?
Sometimes, yep.
Oh, huh, okay. Um, and
Not not
so,
after not after after the injury in the last year. No, I've been sober
okay,
since before. I've been sober. I've been sober since I've been sober from meth since I was rearrested on November 13th, I think, of 2017. That was when I got arrested, or maybe it was the 10th, something like that. Anyway,
okay,
doesn't matter. Since that day, whatever that, I don't remember what day it is. Doesn't matter what day it is. November something of 2017 was the last time that I used any type of legal substance.
okay,
good for you.
yeah.
Good for you.
And
Everybody
and then
likes a
you,
comeback story. Everybody likes a
yeah,
redemption story. And the further you fall and the further you rise definitely makes it more dramatic. What I'm interested in is what you learned through all this process. Have you taken responsibility, taken accountability for your actions, what you've done, what you've experienced, what you've been through? Um, I guess ultimately what makes you special, unique, or different having gone through all of this stuff.
Because I don't know if anybody's ever lived the life like I've lived. Very few. I've experienced the highs and the lows. You know, I've been on top of the world. I was running a craft phone, I was pushing 2 bricks a week at one point. I was the boss. I was also running a weed. I built a weed phone up 471 weed. As a kid, just going back in time, just giving me a different perspective of my life. At one point, they built me to this, aspiring to be like Tony Montana from Scarface or George from Blow, and I was doing a pretty good job of it. You know, making 10 grand a week at 16, 17 years old. It's pretty good money. And it opens up a different lifestyle. This is not today. This is 20 something years ago now, and 22 years ago. And so it was, 10 grand a week was a lot of money for somebody back then. Still a lot of money even now. But yeah, and and it was just different. How did I develop to get to me now? I decided I wanted to be better. I didn't like what the doctors told me, what the psychologist told me. They said it imparted a bunch of limiting beliefs in me upon release. I qualified for this program called AISH, Assured Income, Severely Handicapped. And basically, for the rest of my life, I'm currently getting nearly $1,800 a month, every single month, a stipend, as well as all my medical expenses are paid and things like that. So there's a lot of benefits to being on a program like AISH. It allows you to take care of yourself, make sure you can pay rent, make sure you have food, all these things. And so a lot of people that are on it, unfortunately, they live age check or paycheck to paycheck. Another way to say that they live income time, and within a week's time, they're broke. They have no money left. They're hungry. They're bumming. A lot of people that are on age have experienced this in my life. Because when I used to sell drugs, I sold drugs to people on age, and that was the story. Within a week, they were broke because they spent all their money on crack or on whatever. Um, and so back to this now. I've been investing in myself, how to become better. And so every single month, that money, a lot of it I spend on programs to work on myself, education, taking the right food, putting the right nutrition, garbage in, garbage out. Maybe you've heard that before. Bad input, bad output. Right? Whatever goes in comes out. The things you listen to, the food you
hmm
eat, consume. Yeah. Did that answer your
So
So
question?
what kind of programs you talked about getting programs and when you as you were recovering?
I started to read books. I started to read the Bible.
Hmm.
Yeah, I started to study. I love the Bible. There's 66 books in one book. Um, right? I have look here. See, this book, I know where this is. I don't know where your book is, but I don't know where the Bible is. Because I read. You see my Bible? It's pretty
Uh-huh.
tattered. It's pretty. Because every day I open my Bible. There's
Mhm.
66 books in there, so I read, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Genesis, Exodus, chapter, every this, Psalms. Right? Which book do I feel like? Right? Romans. Do I want to get some wisdom from Paul? Do I want to, First John, right? Chapter on love, right?
Mhm.
Anyways, yeah, that was it. Did that answer your
So
question? First question.
that's your favorite book. Yeah, I love that. I think that's
Yeah,
really cool.
favorite book? Yeah, sure. That's a good question. The Bible. If you call the Bible one book, then that's my favorite book for sure because it's got
Yeah,
so many books, so many, so
yeah,
much. And yes, there's
right.
this is the book of wisdom. You want the secret to life? Don't read my. If you haven't read this, if you haven't read the Bible, even if you have read the Bible, here's the book you should read first.
Mhm.
After you've read this book, then you should read my book. And after you're done reading my book, then you should read Susan's book if you haven't.
Yeah, that's a good way. Good order.
You have gone through what society would deem an awful person, somebody who did drugs and sold drugs and was a criminal and was locked up in prison and um, didn't reform and continued to sell drugs and do drugs and get locked up. From everything that I've heard from you, you've been arrested how many times?
Um, uh, hundreds of arrests, hundreds. Yeah, probably 100. I mean, because I was
Yeah.
a lot of times I was arrested, and I was released again after shorter. I was in and out, in and out of jail. I have hundreds of charges against me, dozens of convictions.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you've gone from that to not doing drugs anymore, not selling drugs anymore, turning your life around. I know it's coming a little bit more difficult. I understand you're also homeless. Is that correct?
No, I don't know where you got that
Oh,
information from.
that's when you lived in a tent.
Oh yeah,
You,
yeah. No, sorry. Steven's remembering something from my story. So here's something in my journey recently for
Uh-huh.
22 months, ladies and gentlemen. For 22 months, I lived in a tent through 2 winters in Calgary. Let me tell you, I don't recommend it. At some point, it's been minus 37 one day, one night, a couple times, minus 30s outside of the tent. I highly recommend you don't do that. But if you do, if you must, I know you can get through it because I got through it. And truthfully, if that's what you have to do, then that's what you got to do. But no,
And
I'm not
you
homeless. Sorry, what was your question? And no, I'm not
so
homeless.
you
that's
weren't
good.
parked
That's good.
out in front of a nice like Macy's drugstore or anything. You were not in the city. You were in on the side of a mountain in your tent, which is very distinct difference from most people who are homeless, who they are usually homeless on the streets in a city. But you
Yes.
you chose to go out and actually chose your lifestyle to be living in a tent on the side of a mountain.
Yes, I chose to be with Bambi and have Birdie come and so I could pet it and have deer come and eat grass out of my hand, and bush. Um, you know, I choose to be with Mother Nature, this beautiful world we live in. I chose to see the sunrise and the sunset and to yell at the stars and the moon, to howl at the moon. I love this quote from A.R. Lucas. It says, there, um, there are two wolves in me, one dark wolf, um, and one light wolf. They're polar opposites, but they're a perfect pair. Sorry, that's not the whole quote. Anyway, my point is I have both. I have both the dark wolf and the white wolf in me, and I need this. The dark wolf needed to be out below the stars and the moon to go howl at the moon. And I did literally howl at the moon some nights. I needed to get the pain out, and so I needed to go
Yeah.
be at peace.
So
So
that helped you heal.
through all of this, you probably got advice along the way. People telling you do this, don't do that, live this way, don't live that way. But in everything, what's the best advice you've received?
Um, yeah, I've had a lot of advice. I had a lot of coaches and mentors. They were very concerned when they found out that I was homeless. Because I don't know if you ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Hmm.
Are you aware
Yes,
of
I
that?
know. I
I'm
am.
not.
How about you, Stephen?
No.
All right. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the pyramid. And so the bottom of the pyramid is food, water, shelter, food, water, shelter, um,
Security.
security. Yes, yes. Food, water, shelter, security. So those four things. In the way that a lot of it is interpreted online, but right next to that is your psychology, it's your mindset, it's your internal dialogue. Because if you want life to get better, it's like Jim Rohn said, you gotta get better. And the reason why is to work on self. And so the bottom of the pyramid is right there. Is your mind, is your brain, is your um we've been we've been developing as a race for thousands of years here on Earth. At one point, there was no houses. At one point, there was no buildings. At one point, there was no shelters. At one point, there was no hospitals. At one point, there was nothing. There was no roads and cell phones and internet and tents and heated electric heaters. Which where's my coat? Anyway, I'll show you little electric heaters. There was none of those things that you can wear. There was no camping stoves that you could crank the propane up to be able to heat your tent. There was none of this stuff. There was no thermal sleeping bags or electric socks or electric gloves. These are all things that I helped to get through that season. Do you have any more
Yeah.
questions?
I'm still haven't heard the best advice you've received.
Oh, right. Sorry. Best advice I've received. Oh, man, best advice. Well, I've said many of the best pieces of advice that I've heard already through this time. Whatever you can conceive and believe, you surely can achieve.
Okay.
I don't have best advice. I mean, what did yeah, there's so many different things that I say the best. There's not one thing. There's so many things. Here the best advice. Abraham Lincoln: an investment in knowledge pays the biggest dividends.
That's a good one.
There's many different best advices. Best advice in regards to what, right? Best advice for my life.
Anything. Just
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one goes to the Father except through Him.
there you go.
If it wasn't for Jesus, I would be dead to my sin nature and not in the Son nature. Best advice.
Staying in the advice lane, if you could give your younger self advice, what advice would you give to your younger self? Now, I want you to keep this in mind before you bring up your answer. You cannot go back and change the past. But we do have people in the younger audience that listen, and they're going to want to hear what you have to say to avoid hardships or what the struggles you went through.
Okay.
So what advice would you give to your younger self?
Okay. Well, a couple of things. On your question. First off, what advice would I give? I'll go back to that in a second. First, I'm gonna state a thing. My younger self. I don't know the best advice, but if I could send a message to my younger self, if I asked a question like that, if I could say something to my younger self, um, I would say that you need to forge your own path, that you need to figure out your own course in life and not try to fit into somebody else's mold, that you are a round peg that fits in a square hole, that you are different, that you are unique, that you should embrace your uniqueness and don't try to conform and don't wear a mask. You should that you should enjoy everything, all the pain. You should feel your emotions. You should not be afraid to feel, to love, to be angry, to hurt, to be sad. That you should be prepared that you can handle it. You can do any and all things. That you will grow closer to God through your life. That that everything you think you fear at different points in time, that you will wipe them all away. That you will have no fear. That you will have abundant life and joy. That you know. There's so much more I could keep going down this road. I could talk about all the things that I could say to my younger self for hours. So, um, yeah, did that answer your question? I don't know.
It did. It did. No, that's exactly what I was looking for. Um,
I can keep going for a long time. So,
at Soul Sunshine and me personally this year, I plan on being more grateful, showing more gratitude. Um, the theme for our new year this year is gratitude. And I'm just curious, is what do you have gratitude for?
oh, what am I grateful for? Wow, I've got so much. I say this that way. First off, I am very passionate about gratitude. In fact, I think the 80-20 rule when it comes to gratitude is expressively important. You should be grateful for everything. You should be grateful for it all. You should be thankful for the sun. You should be thankful for hands. You should be thankful for your clothes. You should be thankful that you're breathing. You should be thankful to be able to move. You should be thankful to be able to think. You should be thankful. I'm thankful for all these things. I say you should be because these are all things that everybody has basically. And so if you have those things, those are things every day that you should just recognize and remember that you've got them and other people don't. And so when I say you should, I say I should, I say I must, I say those are things that and when the reason why is because when life's hard, because life isn't easy. Would you agree life is hard sometimes? Yes. And
Mhm.
Of
so in
course.
those moments when life is hard, guess what? You can just pause and remember that you got all that stuff I just said and so much and whatever else. And then maybe it's your puppy, maybe it's your thing. The gratitude. So what am I most grateful for? Jesus saving a wretch like me. Next to that, that I can conceive and believe anything I set my mind to achieve. That nothing is either good or bad, that thinking makes it so, and so I choose to make everything good, even the bad. I find the good. I find the
We're, uh,
gratefulness.
we're halfway through the first week of the new year. Did you make any New Year's resolutions?
Nope, nothing that was a New Year's resolution, but I have many resolutions in my life. Um, Addendum on the resolution things. Um, Me and Susan just talked through this the other day. Resolution. Many people have the wrong definition when they come to resolution, and they think, "Oh, resolution. Hey, I got this resolution. I'm gonna make this change, or I feel like doing this." But resolution, the root word of that is resolve. Um, uh, and then the root word of resolve is to solve, as in solved, as in it's no longer something that you're going to do or you're trying to do that you're wanting to change or whatever, that you've fixed, that is now patched up, that is no longer because you've changed. And so when you resolve resolution things, have I set any? Not a New Year's one, but since New Year's, after New Year's, I set the intention to have my book published by the end of January. That's a resolution, I guess, a new resolution, a new
Mhm.
thing that's in process. My book will be finished before the end of the month, published, available to
Yeah,
everywhere near you.
Very
There's
nice.
there's one. Did that answer your
Very
question?
nice. No, that's
yeah.
great.
Is
That's great. That's absolutely great. Where do you see yourself in the next year?
Um, where do I see myself next year or in a year?
In this next year, 2025, where do you see yourself this year?
Um, Making a impact, a positive impact versus a negative. Being a great multiplier, because I'm building up other leaders. Um, I see finding my community, my tribe again. I'm starting to. I found my tribe. I got a couple people in my tribe.
Uh-huh.
I'm hanging out with them right now on this podcast. Um,
Yep.
and so, what do I see myself in here? I see our family growing. I see us. having dreams that we can't even begin to imagine or fathom a year from now.
I like that.
I say the best is yet to come. I anticipate great success for each of us, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. Anybody wants to earn more money, I don't know, but I know I got big goals, big, enormous goals. You got any big goals? I got big goals.
I always dream
Anybody?
big. I always dream big, buddy. Always. That's my motto. Always dream, and when you dream, always dream big.
Hmm.
So
On
have
that note,
you
on that
lived
note,
this life?
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
On that note, I always say dream and aim for the stars, and if you fall short, you land on the moon.
Aim for the stars, and if you fall short, you land on the moon.
Hmm. Or at least maybe you'll land on the moon. You know what I
Hey,
mean? Aim for the stars, and at least maybe you'll land on the moon. Anyways, it means
I
set
got you.
huge goals. Yeah,
I
that's right.
got you.
Keep going.
Be satisfied with how far you've actually gotten.
That's right.
I think.
Now, I'm sorry. You were asking a question and I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. This podcast is about you, buddy. We're trying to get out of you the thoughts, your beliefs, your prayers, your life, your
essence.
one thing that I noticed in this particular interview was that you were so focused on the questions that we had beforehand. And I had those questions written down. But a podcast is supposed to flow naturally. You're supposed to let out what you need to let out. You're supposed to get out what you need to get out. So I started to see this frustration in you with the questions, which is why I got back to the questions on there. But where you lie in this particular instance is being yourself. You don't.
Where I lie? Sorry, can you? What do you mean by lie? Like lie down, or lie, like tell a lie, or like lie? What do you mean by lie?
Exist in this realm as a guest on this podcast. You said just a few minutes ago you don't want to conform. You don't want to, you would have told yourself not to conform to society, to embrace that uniqueness, to accept that you are different. And yet you wanted us to conform and go to these questions on here. And I don't think that's where we needed to go. We needed to get your story out. We needed to get what you needed to say, your truth, your beliefs, your story.
Okay, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
The reason why is because my mind, I have, we could talk for days. We have so many questions. We have so many things that we can go through, rabbit holes we can go down it with, and so we could literally just keep going however. And so I was confused because we strategically before they had some questions and they sent them to me, and then they said, is there any other questions? And so what I did is I went through the questions, and then I sent back a list of questions, and I meditated on those questions, and I thought about the answers and what I was going to say. So I was kind of prepared. I had a script, you could say, a program in my mind. I thought about what I was going to say, and we veered very left. And so I have still healing going on inside me. Maybe I should still be on sabbatical. Maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. Truthfully, I think I should spend some more time working on me before I'm doing this interview. I've sped the timetable up because
Oh,
even though I'm not technically ready yet, the time is now. And if not now, when? And God says to
Yeah.
go. And I've started to find some great people, and so here I am. And so back to the question thing, the reason why is because I have a lot of here, and so I had a direction, a focus for myself of what we were meant to talk about, and where I knew the answers were, and I didn't want to be confused or trying to remember and then saying stuff that not in preparation because I can literally just talk for days and not stop.
I understand. I understand. And I'm not holding it against you, buddy. I'm not upset with you on
No,
anything.
no, no, I know.
Want to like I said, what we want to do in this is that you are this fantastic person. You have this story that when you unfold it, you start seeing more layers, and you start seeing more emotions, and you start seeing, you know, depth that not a lot of people have ever experienced, for one, or could ever deal with, for two. So you've gone through this, and I mean, yes, we could ask all the questions that we came up with, but it wouldn't have been right, because I wanted to show our people who you were, what you're capable of, how you have gone from rock bottom to where you are currently, and give everybody hope and faith that you're going to be better in the next day, in the next month, in the next year, in the next decade. That's what I wanted to show our viewers today.
Well, can I just say I feel like you've reached your goal. Um, I think you've asked some amazing questions, and I'm so grateful that I got to share them, and that you did veer from the pattern of what you planned to do. Sorry, that you changed it. Um, I'm very grateful for that. Uh, I'm also very grateful that we did go through that whole experience, right? Not just the different questions, but the growth from it. And so
Mhm.
the reason why is because I got a lot of stuff up here. In fact, actually, we talked about this. I was on a different podcast earlier this morning, unexpectedly, because I'm Clubhouse. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the app called Clubhouse. I know Susan is. I've introduced it to her. Stephen, I'm not sure if you do or not. Do you know about Clubhouse?
No.
Okay. Well, I can't wait for the time very soon when you will get to experience it. The Clubhouse is social audio, so no cameras. But beyond that, it's same type of thing. But it's a constant podcast platform that has literally tens of thousands of rooms active right now around the world, with millions of users that are on it. It's like jumping on the phone, and you can just get on stage and talk to all kinds of amazing human beings. And this morning, one of my friends, Paul, continuously pings me. It's called ping, or it's like sending a little ding that alerts me that there's a room happening that he's inviting me to. And for months now, nearly every single day, I get a message from a ping from Paul to go to Rex's accelerator room in the morning. It's like a morning podcast, so same kind of thing. Every
Mhm.
single day they do this, and they read that. So today, I had time for a break, so I showed up on that this morning. I don't know where I was going with the story now. Well, oh yeah, so my point was, so I unexpectedly did that, and I kind of gave an impromptu 8 minute spiel or whatever. I was talking and sharing and talking a little bit, about me and stuff, and what's going on. Hope, yes. Uh, get excited, because let me tell you, if you're looking for an answer to how to be able to get to where you want to be, this this is an answer right here. This Susan, Stephen, me, we have an answer to help you achieve your goals and your dreams. If you're confused, if you think that this is unbelievable, let's have a conversation. It's free.
Awesome.
Just got some
Awesome
time.
plug. Well, I want to thank you, Dan, for coming on to the Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. You've been a fantastic guest. Is there anything you would like to share with our viewers about how they can get in contact with you, find out more about your books, and get educated on upcoming releases?
You can't
Yeah.
hear me. I'm muting myself. I'm like talking and you can't hear me. That makes perfect
Okay.
sense. Yes, I you can find all of my links, my resources, my tools, things to be able to help you achieve freedom at danslinks.ca. That's DANSLINKS.ca, along with all of my books, income opportunities, and things that I be able to help you with. I have a book a complimentary call with me or somebody on my team, and free content to help you win in life.
Perfect.
danslinks.ca. Just
Perfect.
like
And
in my
we'll be
in
sure
my
to put
in my
that.
bio.
We'll be sure to put those links onto the YouTube uploads, as well as the Facebook uploads of this program. Well, Dan, thank you once again for joining us and giving us a part of your Sunday evening. It was absolutely brilliant talking with you. Stick around in the lobby for a few minutes, and we'll wrap up the show, and we'll talk for a few.
Yes, that's awesome. Sorry, just an addendum on that. With that, if you guys do go to danslinks.ca, you can get my soon-to-be New York Times bestseller and future blockbuster Grammy Award winning movie, Einstein versus Frankenstein: How to Conquer Self, at danslinks.ca. I love you. I can't wait to talk soon.
Take care, buddy. All right.
Okay.
Well, that was he is full of layers there now, isn't he?
It does make me chuckle. I do enjoy it. It's takes you on. It's like getting into a roller coaster, and you don't know where that roller coaster is going to go, and you just have to hang on.
Absolutely.
But you know it's going to be a good ride.
We could have talked. We could have talked for many hours on that. So,
yeah. Well, you know we need to have it back, of course.
Yeah. At least we got some emotion. We got through the first couple layers there. That was very good to get through.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. Thank you for sharing your Sunday evening with us. Be sure to have yourself a wonderful week, and we will see you all next week for another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement. Is there anything you wanted to say before we go, Susan?
It's refreshing.
It is refreshing.
Yes.
Have a good week, everybody.
Ever dreamed of seeing your name on the cover of a book? As a book publisher, we understand the challenges of self-publishing. If you're lost in the process, wondering about illustrators, book coaches, or formatting issues, worry not. At Soul Sunshine, we're here to guide you. Let's turn your dream into reality. Contact us to get started.